They laughed when she pulled out crumpled 20s to pay the entrance fee. They sneered at her worn nursing scrubs. They mocked her for daring to enter their exclusive gun club. But 3 hours later, those same people watched in stunned silence as she made the most impossible shot in competitive shooting history with just one bullet. Her name was Miranda Garcia, and this is how she brought an entire SWAT team to their knees with a single round. The confrontation, the morning air was crisp as Miranda walked up to the entrance, her hospital scrubs peeking out from under her old jacket. She'd saved for 3 months just to afford the basic entry fee, squeezing every penny from her overtime shifts as a nurse. Little did she know that money wouldn't be enough. Not at Sterling Arms Elite Range, where membership apparently required more than just cash. The glass doors reflected her tired face, dark circles under her eyes from another 12-hour shift. Behind those doors, she could hear laughter and the familiar crack of gunfire that had once been the soundtrack to her life. The parking lot held vehicles worth more than her annual salary, many with vanity plates bearing military-themed phrases like operator and tactical. Richard Sterling stood behind the reception desk like a peacock in tactical gear. His pristine SWAT-style outfit looked like it had never seen actual duty, the creases too perfect, the patches too clean, and his holster held a custom gold-plated pistol that screamed, "Never fired in anger." "Can I help you?" he asked, though his tone suggested he'd rather do anything but. When Miranda explained she wanted to use the range, his laugh echoed off the marble walls. "Ma'am, this is Sterling Arms Elite. We're a private facility for serious marksmen, not." He paused, gesturing at her scrubs and worn boots. "Not for casual hobbyists. Our members include law enforcement, military contractors, and executive protection specialists. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the public range downtown." The other patrons, all dressed in expensive tactical gear that looked fresh from the store, turned to watch the show. Miranda counted at least 7 men wearing matching black polo shirts with the Sterling Arms logo, their pants tucked into combat boots that had never seen combat. "We maintain certain standards here," Sterling continued, playing to his audience. "This isn't a charity range for nurses looking to play soldier on their day off." Miranda's hands didn't shake as she placed her money on the counter, though inside old instincts were awakening. The bills were worn from being counted and recounted, saved dollar by dollar from extra shifts and skipped meals. "I can pay the fee," she said quietly. Sterling pushed the bills back toward her with manicured fingers. "It's not about the money, sweetheart. It's about maintaining our exclusive atmosphere. Some people belong here and some, well, they just don't." Behind him, a group of men in matching SWAT team jackets snickered. One of them, wearing a name tag that read Victor Petrov, team leader, called out, "Maybe she needs directions to the bingo hall." "I served my country," Miranda said, meeting Sterling's eyes. "I have every right to be here." Sterling's smile turned predatory. "Oh, did you? Let me guess. Army cook, motor pool, supply clerk?" He leaned forward. "Listen carefully. This facility is for elite operators only. Not weekend warriors, not paper pushers, and certainly not nurses playing dress-up." He picked up one of her $20 bills and examined it theatrically. "Besides, this wouldn't even cover a box of our premium ammunition. Our members spend more than this on coffee while they're here." "That won't be necessary," Miranda said calmly. "I'm leaving." But Sterling wasn't satisfied with her quiet exit. "Hold on," he called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Let's make sure we're clear. This facility maintains standards for a reason. We can't have just anyone walking in here thinking they belong." He came around the counter, invading her personal space. "Tell you what," he said with false generosity. "There's a nice little range on the east side. Pistol Pets, I think it's called. Very affordable. They even have ladies' night on Wednesdays." "Thank you for clarifying your position," Miranda said evenly. "I'll remember this conversation." Sterling laughed again. I'm sure you will. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have real shooters to attend to." The drive home was a blur. Miranda's hands gripped the steering wheel of her 10-year-old Honda Civic, knuckles white with suppressed anger, not at the rejection she'd faced worse in her life, but at the sheer arrogance of it all. Her apartment was small but clean, a third-floor walk-up in a building that had seen better days. The walls were bare except for a single photo. Her mother and her at Miranda's nursing school graduation, her mother's bald head covered with a cheerful scarf, a smile radiant despite the chemotherapy ravaging her body. That night, Miranda dreamed of Baghdad, the heat, the dust, the weight of the rifle in her hands. In the dream, she was back on that rooftop, watching the truck bomb approaching her pinned-down squad. The next morning, after another 12-hour shift at St. Mary's Memorial, everything changed. Miranda's phone buzzed insistently with multiple notifications, texts, missed calls, social media alerts. Someone had posted security footage of her entire humiliating encounter with Sterling. The video had been shared over 50,000 times in just a few hours, comments pouring in by the second, most expressing outrage and support. But what caught Miranda's eye were the comments from veterans. "That stance, that's military bearing right there. Look at how she stays calm. That's discipline. Anyone else notice how she positions herself? That's tactical training." And then the comment that made Miranda's blood run cold. "That stance, I'd recognize it anywhere. Ghost Eye, is that you?" Wheeler, 2nd Battalion, her past, it seemed, was catching up with her faster than she'd anticipated. Marcus Wheeler, her former spotter from Baghdad, found her in the hospital parking garage. "You always did hate bullies, Garcia," he said. He showed her Sterling's social media page, featuring a promotional video for something called the Elite Marksman Challenge. Sterling was doubling down, using the controversy to promote a competition with a $100,000 prize, pitting his private SWAT team against all comers. "Miranda, do you know what happened after you left? How many people you inspired? There are female snipers in every branch now, all because of you. And this pompous ass is spitting on everything you represent." That night, Miranda sat in her small apartment, staring at a box she hadn't opened in years. Inside were her medals, her certificates, and a single photograph of Delta Company, the 12 soldiers whose lives had changed the course of hers. The memory came flooding back. Command had said it was impossible. A truck bomb heading for a building where her squad was pinned down. The driver had to be stopped, but he was beyond effective range, the heat creating mirages that made accurate shooting nearly impossible. She had one chance, one bullet, 12 lives hanging in the balance. She'd made that shot. And then she'd made 26 more impossible shots over 3 tours, each one saving lives, each one adding to a legend she'd never asked for. Miranda picked up her phone and called Marcus. "Tell me more about this competition." After a month of quiet preparation at a small public range, the day of the competition arrived. Miranda registered as participant 47, using the number from her old unit. Sterling's team consisted of Viktor Petrov, the ex-Spetsnaz operator Miranda had seen that day, and 3 other hired guns with impressive resumes, but no actual combat experience. They were good, especially Petrov, who hit 9 out of 10 targets under challenging conditions with wind machines creating unpredictable gusts. Miranda was the last shooter. As she walked to the firing line, she could feel every eye on her. In the crowd, she spotted Marcus and other veterans, their presence a silent show of support. She settled into position but didn't immediately prepare to fire. Instead, she watched the targets move through their patterns, memorizing timing and trajectory. When the targets completed their cycle and reset, she stood up. The crowd buzzed with confusion. Then, deliberately, she ejected 9 of her 10 rounds, letting them fall to the ground with metallic clinks that echoed across the suddenly silent range. Miranda had 1 round left. One shot to answer Sterling's challenge, to prove her point, to represent everyone who'd ever been dismissed or underestimated. She settled back into position, finding that quiet place where time slows and everything becomes clear. The first target appeared, moving left to right. She tracked it, but held her fire. The second activated, then the third. By the time the seventh target was in motion, people were standing, trying to understand what she was doing. Then Miranda saw it, the shot she'd been waiting for. For exactly 2.7 seconds, as the mechanical arms moved through their programmed sequence, all 10 targets would align in a perfect diagonal line. The wind would gust at precisely 15 miles per hour from the southwest, creating a predictable deflection pattern. It was a shot that existed only in theory, a mathematical possibility that no one would ever attempt in practice. She adjusted for wind, for distance, for the cumulative deflection that would occur as the bullet passed through each target. The calculations happened below conscious thought, years of training merging with instinct. Between heartbeats, in that space where everything stops, she squeezed the trigger. The bullet's flight seemed to last forever. It struck the first target at a precise angle, the impact altering its trajectory just enough to find the second target. Physics and probability merged as the round continued its impossible path, threading through each subsequent target like a needle through fabric. The sound was almost musical minus 10 rapid impacts, paper tearing in perfect sequence. The ranger's voice cracked over the loudspeaker. All targets hit. 1 shot. 10 hits. The silence that followed was absolute. Then chaos erupted. "My name is Miranda Garcia," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the range. 15 years ago in Baghdad, they called me Ghost Eye. A month ago, I tried to pay for range time here, and Mr. Sterling told me I didn't belong. Said this place was for elite operators, not nurses playing dress-up. She looked directly at Sterling, whose face had gone pale. "Well, Mr. Sterling, real operators don't need fancy gear to prove their worth. They don't need to put others down to feel important. And they certainly don't forget that skill comes from sacrifice, discipline, and service, not from the size of your bank account." The $100,000 prize went to St. Mary's Memorial Hospital's pediatric wing. Sterling was forced out by his board of directors, his carefully cultivated image shattered beyond repair. A new management team took over, led by Patricia Martinez, a former Army colonel and small business owner. Her first act was to stride into the lobby and personally remove the members-only sign. "Liberty Range is now open to all who respect firearms and each other," she announced. Within 24 hours, she had implemented policy changes: free range time for veterans, discounted rates for first responders and medical personnel, and a youth scholarship program. Victor Petrov eventually approached Miranda. "Miss Garcia, I need to apologize. I was arrogant, disrespectful. In my country, we have a saying, the loudest dog is usually the most frightened. I was that dog." "What do you want, Victor?" "To learn," he said simply. "Real skills, not showmanship. Would you teach me?" And that's how Miranda found herself back at Sterling Arms, now Liberty Range, as a consultant and instructor. The pretentious decor was gone, replaced with practical, welcoming spaces. The parking lot filled with working vehicles instead of luxury cars. Today, 2 years after that viral video, Miranda still works her shifts at St. Mary's Memorial. The pediatric wing has new equipment thanks to the prize money, and she's lost count of how many lives it's helped save. But twice a week, Miranda teaches at Liberty Range, passing on skills and values to a new generation. Her classes are always full, with waiting lists stretching months into the future. As for Richard Sterling, last anyone heard, he was selling used cars in Austin, his tactical dreams as deflated as his reputation. Someone had spotted him at a dealership called Honest Rick's Previously Owned Vehicles, wearing a polyester suit instead of tactical gear, his gold-plated pistol replaced with a clipboard. Miranda received a letter recently from a young woman in Afghanistan. a soldier who'd watched her shot and read her story. She wrote about facing discrimination in her unit, about being told she didn't belong, but Miranda's example had given her courage to persevere. She's now the top marksman in her battalion. The letter sits in Miranda's locker at the hospital, next to her nursing credentials and a photo of the original Delta Company. It reminds her daily that our actions ripple outward in ways we can't imagine. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply show up as ourselves, refusing to let anyone else define our worth. The end. Sometimes the most powerful statement is defying expectations. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and join our community of viewers who appreciate stories of quiet strength and unexpected talent. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from our global audience. Everyday people are underestimated based on appearance, gender, or background. Have you ever been in a situation where you surprised others with your hidden talents? Share your experiences in the comments. And remember, the most powerful skill isn't just expertise, but the quiet confidence to stand your ground when others doubt you. Until next time.